Welcome students, myself Aishwarya, Computer Faculty at Shakthi Residential PU College. Today I am going to summarize the chapter Input, Output and Memory Devices. Now let's see what does this chapter deals with. Now let's see what does an input device mean. What do you mean by an input device? Any device that accepts input or the data from the user. It is called as an input device. Initially, the data will be in the form of human readable or human understandable form. Later, it is converted into binary digits, that is zeros and ones. So initially data will be in human readable form and it will be converted into machine understandable form, that is binary digits, zeros and ones. Now why we need input device? In order to get this data from the user and we have to give them to the system. That's why we use input device. Example for input device: keyboard, mouse and joystick. Keyboard, it consists of typewriter keys and it will allow us to enter data into computer. So it will be having numeric key which is used to enter numbers, punctuation keys used to enter comma, period, colon, semicolon, etc. and functional keys to perform certain functions. So you have a keyboard which has typewriter keys and these keys consist of numeric keys, punctuation keys and functional keys. Now you have types of keyboards. First one, standard keyboard. Second, ergonomics. Third, virtual keyboard. Fourth, compact keyboard. And the last one, wireless keyboard. Now let us see how does each keyboard functions. First one, standard keyboard. Standard keyboard comes with a basic standard layout. So it will be having a standard layout and it consists of QWERTY. That is QWERTY. We call them QWERTY and it will be placed in the first row. And that is the standard, basic standard of the keyboard. So standard keyboard will have basic layout. It consists of QWERTY. Normally you will have number of keys nearly to 105 or from 95 to 108. These are the normal range. It may differ to a bit. Now coming to ergonomics. What do you mean by ergonomics? It is a study of method that can reduce stress on muscles to avoid repetitive strain injury. What does it do with the keyboard? See, this keyboard is designed in such a way that it won't give stress to your fingers or wrist when you have typing. See, sometime when you type on the basic ones, you may get stress or strain to your hands, wrist, etc. So these keyboards, it's good for hands. You can have an area to keep yourself, rest your hands. That is why it is called as ergonomics keyboard. Now coming to the wireless keyboard. What is wired keyboard? Anything that has a wire. Keyboard that comes with a wire will be called as wired keyboard. Wireless in the sense it won't have wires. Then how it is connected? It is connected using Bluetooth, infrared or radio frequency. So wireless keyboard, it does not come with a wire, and how it is connected? It uses Bluetooth, infrared or radio frequency. Now coming to the next one, virtual keyboard. What does virtual keyboard mean, or what does virtuality mean? That does not exist in reality. It is virtual in existence. So what is a virtual keyboard? You cannot have this keyboard physically exist, but it will do all the functionality of a real keyboard, like a touch screen. See, you have a software for that. When it is enabled, the laser beams will give you a structure of keyboard and that keyboard will function similar to the exact standard keyboard. It's similar to touch screen. That is called as virtual keyboard. It is used in tablet or smartphones, and some bank also uses facility. That is virtual keyboard. And last one is compact keyboard. Compact keyboards are used in laptops. It will be slim and small in size. So mostly in laptops we use compact keyboards. Now coming to the scanners. You have OMR scanner, OCR scanner and MICR scanner. What do you mean by OMR? Optical Mark Read and Recognition is called as OMR. See, have you seen these sheets? They are OMR sheets, objective type answers. That answers are scanned through this OMR device. That is why we use OMR device. Full form of OMR, optical mark reading and recognition. Very important for 1 mark and 2 mark. OMR. Next, OCR, optical character recognition. Here you can see this device. It is scanning the newspaper, and the same thing it is coming in the Word. In Word it is processed. So you can edit it in word processor. For this need you can use optical character recognition. Here each characters are scanned. That is why we use optical character recognition. MICR stands for magnetic character recognition. It is usually used in bank. In order to provide security for your check, it is used. And some special ink made up of magnetic oxides are used in this check, and it is then scanned. Now coming to printers. We have seen input devices, scanners. Now coming to the printers. Why we need a printer? Definitely when we want a output, we use printers. So printer is an output device that print text or image on a paper or other media. There are two types of printer, impact printer, non-impact printer. Now let's see what is the difference between impact printer and a non-impact printer. See, impact printers, they were used earlier. Now we have non-impact printer. The main difference between it is, it has a physical contact with the paper, whereas non-impact printer, it does not have any physical contact with the paper because it uses cartridges. The recent printers what we use today, we have cartridges. But here, on the earlier days, we didn't have any cartridges. We had striking, like metal pins were there. It was striking and thus the print was created. See the next point. Due to its striking activity, impact printer were very noisy. Now we don't have noisy printers because we use as cartridges and there is no striking mechanism involved. So that is the main or major difference between impact and non-impact printer. The third point, it is measured with character per second, whereas it is measured dots per inches. These type of printers do not support transparencies. As I told you now, it was used in earlier time. So it didn't support transparencies and other sheets like different sheets of paper, etc. So it didn't support transparencies. But now, the printer which we have now, it is non-impact printer and it definitely support transparencies. But these impact printers were very good in producing carbon copies. So we can produce multiple copies, whereas here multiple carbon copies cannot be produced. Example for impact, line and dot matrix. For non-impact, which we have now, inkjet, thermal, laser. These are the examples. The major difference is, before striking of metal pins were done, and now we have cartridges. We use cartridges, no striking of metal pins. When striking was done, noise was created. When no striking, there will be no noise. That is the present one which we have now. It does not create any noise. That is non-impact printers. Now let us see the types of printers. First one, line printer. From the name itself, you can understand it will be able to print an entire line at a time. And see the size of the printer too. It was bit huge in size and it can print large volume of test data very fast compared to other printers that time, which was used at that time. Now no one used line printers because it can print an entire line at a time. And see the limitation of this printer. It can print only one type of font and it cannot print graphics and print quality was very low. There was no good quality plus it is noisy. So it comes under impact printer. What do you mean by impact? It is creating some impact. How it is creating? By striking, noise will be generated. So this is an example for impact printer and see the size of the printers. Now coming to dot matrix, even it is an impact printer, striking is there and noise will be created. Here it will print one character at a time, that too in sequence. So it is similar to typewriter and it was also slow, and it can print 300 character per second, and this is the image of dot matrix printer, which is a impact printer. It creates noise. Now coming to non-impact printer, the first one is thermal printer. What do you mean by thermal? From the word itself you can understand it's something related to heat. See, here thermal printers produce image by pushing electrically heated pins against special heat sensitive paper. So it has some mechanism of electrically heating pins, and thus the image or the text is transferred to the heat sensitive paper. It is used in fax machine and calculators. It is not that much costly. That is, it is inexpensive. The main reason is poor quality print. And the drawback of thermal printer is, see, this print will fade due to the exposure of light and sunlight. That is the main disadvantage of thermal printer, which is a non-impact printer. Now coming to the laser printer. So laser printer, of course, it uses laser beam and it has ink, that too powdered ink, to produce the print. And the print quality is very good and graphics we are able to use. See, it didn't support graphics at the initial ones, that is impact ones. Now non-impact, it support graphics. And it can print 15 to 30 pages per minute. And it prints the entire page also at a time. Latest ones, that is in non-impact. Now coming to the inkjet printer. Even it has a good quality print and even graphics also it support. And it uses color cartridges, that is a mix of magenta, yellow and cyan to create color tones. So it can print quality high and speed is also about to 1 to 12 ppm page per minute. Then it prints one page at a time. See, laser and inkjets are recently used ones. Now coming to plotter. Plotter is more expensive than printer. And see, it is used in engineering application and it will draw pictures on paper based on commands from the computer. There is a major difference between printer and plotter. That is, printer it will use toner, whereas plotter it will draw lines using an automated pen. By seeing this image itself, you can make to know where it is used. It is used in banner designing and signboard. So plotter and printer, there is a difference. Printer uses toners, whereas plotter it uses automated pen. And plotter will draw the pictures on paper based on the commands from computer. So it is the major difference between printer and plotter, and this is the image of plotter. Now coming to the speaker. Even it is also an output device. It will produce sound signals in audible frequency. So it is a sound signal. It is a voice. Output is voice in speaker. Now speaker comes with something called as subwoofer. What do you mean by subwoofer? See, now the speakers come with subwoofer. So what does subwoofer do? It will boost the lowest frequencies in whatever you are listening to. That is, when they boost the lowest frequencies, it will be clearly audible for us. That is why it uses subwoofer. That too, now the speaker comes with subwoofer. This is a functionality of subwoofer. Now this is the end of input and output device. Now it is done. Now we are coming to the memory. So why you need memory? Definitely we need memory for storage, and you have two types of memory. One is primary memory and second one is secondary memory. What is primary memory? We can call them as built-in memory or we can call them as main memory. It is definitely needed by the CPU. So it is much faster than the secondary memory and it is built-in memory. So memory is of two types, primary memory and secondary memory. Primary memories are also called as main memory, that are built-in memory. Then what is secondary memory? Secondary memory is something external storage device. When we depend upon external storage device, we call them as secondary memory. So coming to RAM and ROM. See, we have again the primary memory, we have two types, that is RAM. random access memory. The second one is ROM, that is read-only memory. So this RAM is volatile. What does it mean? That is, data will be lost when the power go off. That is the term volatile means. So RAM is volatile. It means random access memory. Data will be lost when the power goes off. Then what is ROM? It is non-volatile. It means the content will be remain same, or content is retained even when the device is powered off or when the power goes off. So this is a major difference between RAM and the ROM. RAM stands for random access memory, whereas ROM stands for read-only memory. RAM is volatile, whereas ROM is non-volatile. Meaning of volatile, that is data is gone when the power is gone. In the other case, data is retained even if the power goes off. Very important for 2-mark question. Now, let's see the other difference between RAM and ROM. So, as it is volatile, see, it is used to store temporary information. See, obviously, when the power goes off, the data is closed. So, you can store only temporary information. So, in order to store permanent information, you have to use ROM. Then, it is expensive. Random access memory is more expensive when compared to ROM. So, this ROM will be cheaper compared to RAM. We are comparing, and the RAM is expensive when compared to ROM. And data in RAM can be modified, erased and read. See, it is read-only memory. So, what does it mean? You can't modify the data in ROM. So, data in ROM can be only read. From the name itself, you can make out read-only memory. Whereas this is random access memory, where the data can be read as well as modified. Whereas in ROM, you cannot do it. Then speed of random access memory is higher than ROM. Then obviously here the speed of ROM is lower. Very important for 5 mark, that is differentiate between RAM and ROM. The term which you have to keep in mind is volatile. Volatile means data is gone when the power is gone, and non-volatile means data is retained even the power goes off. And read-only memory is non-volatile. Now let us see the different types of ROM. You have PROM, programmable read-only memory. You have EPROM, that is electrically programmable read-only memory, and you have last one EEPROM, which is a type of flash memory, that is electrically erasable read-only memory. These are the 3 types of ROM. The full form as well as the definitions, very important. That is, you have to learn what is the difference between RAM and ROM, the term volatile, then different types of ROM. You have PROM, EPROM, EEPROM. Programmable read-only memory, electrically programmable read-only memory, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. So here you can erase the data. Now coming to RAM. Different type of RAM is static RAM, EDO RAM, that is extended data output RAM. It is used in earlier time, now it is not used. Then you have DDR RAM, that is double data rate RAM, random access memory. Now coming to the secondary memory. Secondary memory means we are depending upon an external storage device. So it is not built in computer like our primary memory. These devices are called as secondary memory. And what are they? Hard disk drive, compact disk, pen drive, USB, memory card are the commonly used or the example of secondary memory. Now let us see magnetic disk. This is magnetic disk. It is of 2 types, that is hard disk and floppy disk. And floppy disk, it's very much common. You have seen floppy disk, right? Now coming to hard disk, it is of course an additional storing device. So it's a physical device for storing what? Files or data. And here you have something called as disk plate that will be rotating, and these are encased in drive. The hardest, definitely it will have something called as drive. And the surface of these plates are covered by metal oxide. So what is the surface is covered? It is covered by using metal oxide. Here the data is arranged in concentric rings. Like this, the data will be arranged and each ring is called as track. And the tracks are subdivided into sectors. We call this as sectors. Very important question for 1 mark or 2 mark. What is a track and what is a sector? So you have concentric rings. We call them as track. Again, it is subdivided into sectors. So information will be stored in the sectors too. The arrangement of track and sector on a disk is called as its format, and set of matched tracks are called as cylinder. These are the 1 mark questions. You may expect these questions. Very important one, track and sector. Now coming to the magnetic tape. This is an image of magnetic tape, and the way the magnetic tape is used, by seeing the image itself you can understand. Earlier one, tape cassettes. Here the magnetic tapes are used. So it is one of the oldest method of recording. Of course, these cassettes will put inside the tape and we can record it. And these tapes are most commonly seen. Round in color filaments they are. So the recording medium in thin plastic tape is coated with magnetic recording medium, and it is most commonly packaged in cartridges as well as cassette. This is the cassette. Example for magnetic tape. We call this as magnetic tape. And why it is used? To record music and sound. Now no one uses it. It was an earlier version. And magnetic tape has a serial access. That is, item can only be accessed by working through all the items before it. Sequentially it will be accessed. And this is the most common example, and it's already seen by most of them. Magnetic tapes. So this is an image of floppy disk, and it consists of circular plastics coated with metal oxide enclosed in a cover. That is the cover where it is enclosed with. And it is divided into track and sector. What is a track? Concentric rings data is saved, and we call them that concentric rings as track, and again it is subdivided into a part called as sector. And these things are small as well as portable. If it is small, definitely we can portable it. We can move it from one place to another. That is what portable means. Now coming to optical disc. Optical disc, it uses the help of laser beam. That is why we call them as optical devices or optical disc. So it uses laser beam, and it consists of a rotating disc which is coated with highly reflective material or medium. It is again divided into 3 types, that is CD-ROM, DVD-ROM and Blu-ray disc. Let's see each one. First one, CD-ROM, that is compact disc, read-only memory. Very important 1 mark question. So it is a read-only optical storage medium. It can hold up to 680 MB of data, and it is much faster than floppy disk. So to read a CD-ROM, you need something called CD-ROM drive and CD writer to write into the disk. That is, if you want to erase and write, you want CD writer, CD reader to read. That's all. Now coming to DVD, that is full form digital versatile video disc. It can hold nearly to 4.7 gigabyte. You can have single-sided or double-sided. So you can have single-sided or double-sided. And it can hold nearly to 4.7 gigabyte. And for double-sided, it can hold 17 gigabyte of data. That is, storage medium is more when compared to the CD-ROM. This is DVD. You can get it double-side, single-side. In single-side, you have 4.7 gigabyte. And in double-side, you can have nearly to 17 gigabytes. Now coming to BD disc, it means Blu-ray disc. Very important 1 mark question. So how much it can hold? How much capacity it have? It have nearly to 25 GB to 50 GB storage capacity. And this one, it uses a new format, that is blue-violet laser. That is why it is called as Blu-ray disc. Whereas other like DVD, CD-ROM, etc. uses red laser to read and write. The main difference between BD disc and other disc is it uses red laser to read and write, whereas Blu-ray disc, it uses a new format, that is violet laser instead of red one. That is why it is called as BD disk, and it is used to store HD movies, more clarity ones. So the storage space is also more. Last one, portable storage device. What is other portable storage device? Memory stick, pen drive, that is our USB. Now coming to cache memory, it is a small amount of high speed memory. It means it is the fastest memory. Where it is present? It is present between primary memory, that is our built-in memory, and the processor. Processor means CPU. So if you want to fetch any instruction or data, it can use cache memory. Why? It is much faster than the main memory, and this is a diagram of cache memory. See, it is present between processor and our RAM. You have two type, L1 cache and L2 cache, and there are two type of cache memory, that is L1 cache and L2 cache. L1 is present in the CPU, that is our processor, and L2 is present in our motherboard. It is between both, so that CPU can easily fetch the data. That is why it is called fastest memory. And your second chapter, that is input, output and memory device, consists of these topics. Hope you have understood the topic. Thank you.